Hello, my name is Dr. Rebecca Turri, and I'm an Associate Professor of History at the University of Southern Mississippi. I'm also the proud recipient of a Fall 2022 Teaching Innovation Mini-Grant from the Center for Faculty Development. This mini-grant helped to pay for my students in History 373, African American History to 1890, to visit the Whitney Plantation in Edgard, Louisiana. This grant funding paid for our travel to the site and also paid for a guided tour of the property. Students appreciated not only learning about the new information about the Whitney Plantation and slavery in Louisiana, but they were also excited to see many of the lessons that we have already discussed in our class confirmed there. The Whitney Plantation is an important historical site because it is interpreted primarily through the lens of the enslaved person's experience, not that of the slave owner. The tour actually began at the Antioch Church, a Reconstruction-era church that was built by newly freed people. The church, which was moved a few miles from its original site to sit on the museum site, was originally named the Antioch Church, but the congregation had to rename it to the Antioch Church to avoid attacks on the building by white vigilantes after the end of the Civil War. Next, we visited a wall of honor dedicated to all enslaved people who lived on the Whitney Plantation during its existence, including the names of any of the 350 people whose names are actually known. There is also a memorial to the 2,000 children from St. John the Baptist Parish who died between 1820 and 1865. And there is another memorial to the rebels of the 1811 slave revolt, which happened close to the Whitney Plantation site. The 45 men who were executed for trying to gain their freedom are now honored at this museum. Throughout the semester, students had learned about the history of the African American experience by reading about enslaved people through scholarly books and articles, as well as through primary sources written by and about enslaved people. But nothing was as powerful in our class as the experience of getting to be at the site at which enslaved people lived and died. This opportunity opened up my students' eyes even more to the humanity of enslaved people. They learned new things such as that sugarcane, which looks so smooth and innocuous from the outside, can easily lacerate anyone who touches it the wrong way. They also learned the name of Peter, who was also known as Gordon, the man who was enslaved in the same area of South Louisiana before the Civil War, whose scars from beatings continue to horrify us in history books and lectures to this day. His picture now sits in our nation's National Portrait Gallery. After returning from the trip, my students had a few separate assignments that drew upon their experiences. First, they engaged in both oral and written reflections about the material immediately after visiting the site, as well as in the following week. They also created a 10-minute presentation focused on their experiences from the trip and a written paper that asked them to incorporate material from their visit to answer a larger question about slavery in the 19th century. For both assignments, they were asked to use material from class to contextualize what they had learned from their visit. From their oral feedback, as well as their end-of-semester teaching evaluations, students consistently said that this trip was their favorite part of our class. We not only learned the material in enriching ways, we also became closer as a class. I appreciate the Center for Faculty Development making this profound learning opportunity possible for my students and for me. Thank you so much.